Shooters, welcome back to the Shooters Bay. This is Dave. In today's video, we're going to talk about situational awareness. You guys know what I call the situation. I call what we're going through right now. The whole world is going through right now, the situation. Since the last video, the situation has gotten worse. And right now, the situation is not even at its full potential. It's just a hurricane starting to gain its momentum. This thing didn't even really hit its stride yet. This thing is still in the gate. It didn't even come out the gate yet. And there's already over a million cases worldwide. The death toll is ridiculous. In America alone, we lost over 1,000 Americans in the last 24 hours. 1,000. Now, I know there's going to be some people out there who say, well, 1,000 people, that's nothing. And when you consider America's population, it's not a lot of people, but it's a lot of people to lose in 24 hours to an unknown foe. Let me try to explain this the best way I can. Because I'm tired of people saying the flu kills more people. This, that, and the third kills more people. Okay, let's talk about the flu real quick. The flu is an old foe. The flu's been around for centuries. The flu isn't going anywhere. The thing with the flu is, yes, the flu kills a lot of people. But the flu, like I said, is an old familiar foe. There's medications to help you with that. There's vaccines for that. There's things to help you with that. So if you did get the flu, you wouldn't have the same sense of hopelessness as with this thing. This thing is different. This thing, there's nothing for it. If you get this thing, you almost feel hopeless because there's a great chance it's going to either damage you permanently or it's going to kill you. Now, there is people who's recovering from it. Quite a few people. More people are recovering from it than dying from it. But a lot of people are still dying from it. And then there's people who's recovering from it, but they have 20 to 30% lung function afterwards. So to survive something like that and still have permanent damage to your body from it, that's still enough to really wear on you emotionally. It'll bring you down mentally. So it's a lot going on with this. So please, people, stop comparing this to the flu. Like I said before, the flu is an old familiar foe. This thing is brand new. Maybe in 100 years, this thing will be looked at as the flu. It'll be an old familiar foe. But right now, it's not. People is terrified of it, rightfully so. As this thing starts to gain energy and start to hit its stride, they are predicting in America this thing's going to hit its stride in the next 2 weeks. And even the president came out and said there's going to be a lot of death. Well, it's a lot of death now. But if this is just a little plunk in the bucket compared to what's coming, my God, may God help us because he's the only one who can. People are not taking this thing seriously with the social distancing. People are out and about. People are still gathering. There's incidents all over the place, and we can recap a few. There's churches, big churches still holding service. I think a lot of that got shut down, but they were. There was a group of business professionals that went on a ski trip, and a lot of them came back with it. There was a group of kids who chartered a flight not too long ago. A lot of them came back with it. There was a large gathering on beaches. Some of them came up with it. It's not a good idea to be in large gatherings. To be honest with you, it's not good to be in gatherings, period. Unless it's a gathering of people in your house, and you should be very careful of who you let in your house. For example, my hot water heater went down Friday. On Friday. Wife come downstairs. The basement floor is wet. It was Friday, so I knew if I didn't get it done on Friday, I would have had to ride it out to next week. I dare not call a plumber on the weekend because you're going to pay overtime, and that can be very expensive. So I called somebody out to come replace my hot water heater. And one of the things I said, hey, make sure that the guy has on a mask, something to cover his face. It's just that's what it is right now. You need to be careful who you let in your house. If there's a service tech, they got to come to your house because appliances are going to break. They don't know nothing about what's going on. So if you got to get something repaired in your house and you don't have the savvy to do it, I don't have the savvy to do a hot water heater, to do it right. I could sit there and try to figure it out, but at the same time, I got water on the floor of my basement, so I had to get it done. So I just made sure that the tech he protected himself when he came in. He had on gloves and he had something on his face. You just gotta be, it's like that. You gotta, if you order packages from Amazon, be careful, because Amazon, they had breakouts at a couple of their warehouses. Even groceries, the warehouse, I think there's breakouts of this everywhere, and I think some of it is being swept under the rug. I don't think it's being reported. I think a lot of people got it throughout the supply chains, whether it be the food supply chain or the regular old supply lines. So you got to be careful now, even with your mail. Even though I see the mail carrier, he has on gloves, still, you got to be very careful when you handle things. Mail, I think you might be okay with packages. I even handle packages differently. I get in, I get my Lysol, and I try not to spray directly real close to the box, so I wet it with the stuff, but I give it a light spritz. You know what I mean? And then I bring it into the house. And depending on what's in it, I'll give the packaging of what's ever in the box just a light spritz. You got to be careful, because Amazon is one of those companies where they will cover it up. Definitely. They will cover. If they got outbreaks of the Rona in their warehouses, they will definitely cover it up. Yes, they will. Don't trust no one when it comes to this. Remember, we live in America, and America is money over people all day, every day. First responders are getting sick and dying. A lot of the deaths in America is from our first responders. Nurses, doctors, cops. There's a lot of cops getting this. Bus drivers. There's a bus driver, I think he was in Detroit. Last name Hargrove. You can check him out. He had a passenger get on his bus and was coughing without covering his mouth or anything. And he made a video about it. And don't you know he actually died from the Rona? He died from the situation. I called it by its name. Well, not its full name, but he died from it. So it's real. I mean, you just got to be careful and protect yourself when you go out in public. And shout out to our first responders. Shout out to our frontline workers, our essential workers, our supermarket employees, our restaurant workers, our delivery people. Shout out to them. You know, damn it, it's about time we give a real salute to the service, the people who drive the service and the thirst and the hunger for service in America. We are a very service-driven society. And as a whole, we don't appreciate our service workers. We don't. You know, I still work in the service industry. It's a little bit different now, but I worked in the restaurant business. I worked in the retail outlets before. I worked in supermarkets and all that stuff before. And people come in, and for the most part, they're very nasty to service people. You know, you go to the meat counter, you talk hell to the guy who's working the meat counter. You talk hell to the person working the produce counter. And you talk all kinds of crazy stuff to people that work in fast food restaurants like they're less than. Who's less than now? They're coming to work. They're making sure you eat. Who's less than now? So shout out to our frontline workers. Shout out to all of the essential workers who's coming to work. They don't get paid a lot. Some companies are stepping up and taking care of their people that actually comes to work. But this is a time of reflection on us as people, as a whole. We need to really look at our service providers on all levels, whether it be fast food, grocery, Walmart, whatever. We need to really take another look at our service providers and just appreciate them more. And I know what a lot of us are going to say. I know I've been there. I've been on the receiving end of a nasty service worker. A lot of them are nasty because of the way when I say we, I'm painting with a really wide brush. We, the people, treat them, the way we look at them. You know, a lot of Americans are very nasty and they look down towards people who provide service, even though Americans got an insatiable lust and thirst for service. But we look at people who provide service like they're less than, but America's a service-driven society. I never understood that. Americans really don't do a lot of things for themselves. Now, I'm not saying that for all, but a nice bit. A lot of Americans don't cook their own meals. A lot of them don't clean their own clothes. A lot of them don't clean their own houses. A lot of them don't fix their own cars. But the people who provide these services, they get looked at as less than. And they out there on the front line right now, risking their personal safety for us to continue on. Now, are they doing it? Are they getting a paycheck in the process? Yes. But a lot of them could just say, screw it and not come in. You know, if your local Walmart loses 80% of its workforce, how do you think that's going to work out for you? If the people in Walmart's distribution warehouse start calling out hand over fist, how do you think that's going to work out for you? If the trucks start slow down to the point where 80% less trucks on the road. How do you think that's going to work out for us? So these service providers are out there. They are frontline workers. Now, they're not frontline in the same sense like doctors and nurses. That's a whole different frontline. But these guys are out there in the public. And a lot of them are out there without any PPE, which is the personal protection equipment. A lot of them is out there without that, providing service for us every day. A lot of them is making sure that the supermarket shelves got something on them. They're not stocked the way they should be, but these guys are out there working, making sure there's something on that shelf for you to go in and buy. So when this is over with, show your service provider a little bit of, put some respect on their name, damn it. When you go into your local Walmart, when you go into your local McDonald's, put some respect on their name. So this is just one video of many. I'm going to be doing videos just kind of keeping you guys in the loop. We're just going to be talking about this because this thing is bringing out a lot of foolery too. You're starting to see a lot of foolery out here going on. People are still running around shooting at each other. You guys know I'm a Philly guy, and I can still turn on the news and still see people out there doing just dumb stuff. You're supposed to be in the house trying to keep this plague out of your house, and you out on the street shooting at each other. What the heck? Come on. I mean, I almost want to see America take the approach that India took. India got the police whipping people asses with bamboo sticks, chasing them home. I don't want it to get to that, but India, they controlling it. Now, are they getting cases and bodies? Absolutely. There's only a few countries that don't have any cases, and some countries surprisingly got single-digit cases and no deaths. But America, we know that wasn't going to be the case. We knew once it hit China real bad, we was going to get decimated. We already knew that. Once you started saying Europe and China, like big countries like China, and then like continents like Europe and America start getting decimated, you already knew. I mean, and then you already knew we was going to get just smacked up because of just the way we are as a society. Just hard-headed, don't like to listen, like to party, like to be social. But that's part of just being an American. But at a time like this, you almost got to unlearn what you have learned and do things differently for survival. Like I titled the last video, right now it's survival of the fittest. And it could be the fittest physically, or it could be the fittest emotionally, spiritually. All of those things. You have to be very fit all the way around right now. You have to be psychologically fit. You got to be able to think quick on your feet right now, because you're fighting against an invisible enemy. And you have to be smart if you want to. I'm not even going to say beat them, because there's no way to beat them right now. You have to be smart to stay ahead of them a little bit. I do believe they're going to come up with something. They're experimenting with a couple of things. I think they are going to come up. I think they're going to make a breakthrough with this before the year is out. Now, I'm not saying it's going to, be ready for mass production tomorrow, but I do believe they're working hard on trying to figure something out for this. And I think they will, but I think it's going to take time. But in the meantime, in between time, you have to be smart. You have to de-stress, because when people are stressed out, they do things that they normally wouldn't do. If your job got it where you can work from home, stay home. If you're unemployed right now, I'm sorry, but they did make some enhancements to unemployment. People are now getting more money. So just wait for your unemployment to come through. Make arrangements with your creditors. Make arrangements with your landlord or your mortgage company. Try to take as much stress off you as you can right now. Worrying about bills and where you're going to lay your head or how you're going to feed your kids right now, it's too much. And then you got to worry about ducking and dodging an invisible enemy. It's enough to break a lot of people who's already mentally frail, to break them and push them over the edge. So do whatever you can. Like I said, make arrangements with your creditors so you can prioritize right now who you pay. Pay who you got to pay right now. And I'm quite sure a lot of mortgage companies, I don't know about landlords, but I know a lot of mortgage companies will do deferments for you, meaning they'll put your next couple of payments on the back end of your loan. So which for a lot of people, that will help out a lot, because when this thing is over and you go back to work, you won't have to now catch up 1 billion payments. You'll be right where you need to be, and those payments will be on the back end. A lot of the Auto manufacturers, they'll work with you. They'll give you they'll defer a couple months for you, meaning they'll put your next couple payments on the back end of your loan. So you'll just pay for your car a couple months more than you would have, which will take a lot of stress off you. So now you don't have to pay that mortgage payment right now. And it's not going to be waiting for you when this thing is over. You don't have to make those next couple car payments. They'll be, they won't be waiting for you. It's on the back end. Now you can worry about feeding the kids, getting food, keeping the lights on, keeping the internet on. Yes, the internet, because you want to be connected right now. This is the time where you want to be connected to know what's going on around you. And to get supplies, you can use some money now. You got a little wiggle room to supply up and to pay all the necessary things. Just de-stress yourself as much as you can right now. This is a very trying, difficult time emotionally. Just get emotionally fit. Get spiritually fit. Whoever you pray to, make sure that you're fit, that you try to make as many menses with people as you can. If you got family that you're on the outs with, that you feel like you don't want to be on the outs with, but you're a little pig-headed and you didn't want to make it right, this is the time to make it right. If that's where you are, because you just never know with this thing. And if you got a family member that gets sick to the point where they got to go to the hospital, I'm sorry, because they're not allowing visitors in the hospital. So if you got a very, very sick loved one and they have to go to the hospital, when you drop them off, that might be the last time you see them. I'm hearing people with this thing is going to the hospital and they're dying alone. Imagine taking your last breath alone. So it's just really bad all the way around, and there's no easy way to put it. So just stay mentally fit, stay emotionally fit, and as physically fit as you can to try to stay ahead of this thing. And just be smart and move the way you're supposed to move with this. This is D from the Shooters Bay. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.